Okay, so this is going to show how to do our second drawing for basic parts in Fusion 360. So it looks a little bit intimidating, but really not that bad. Introduce you guys to the kind of the circle tool and how we get our circles. So when we look at this, and this is the part that if we kind of wrap our head around is when we look at this part, and I cut a little bit out of here, but if I go here, this is half an inch, 1 inch, half an inch, 2 inches, one more block, so 2.5. So this is 2.5 inches across, and this would be half an inch in. So if we look at this, our circle, we're going to get half of a circle here is going to, or actually a quarter of a circle is going to be 2 inch diameter, 2 inch radius. So we're getting 1/4 of a circle that has a 4 inch diameter. Okay, so we're going to keep that in mind when we're making this. So we're going to pop into our Fusion 360, and I'm already, if I'm at my home, I'm going to go into my Learn 360. I'm going to go into my basic parts folder. I'm going to make part number 2. So what we're going to do here is I am going to, very first thing I want to do is I want to save this. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to hit the Save button. We're going to call this Part 2, and I'm going to save it into my basic parts. So I'm going to hit Save. This is going to be part number 2 that I'm working on for my drawing. I'm going to create a new component. I'm going to call this component part 2. So we've got this for part number 2, and I'm going to hit OK. So this is going to be where we've got my part 2 component. So now what I've got here with my part 2 component, I'm going to start to create my drawing for this. And so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my sketch. I'm going to put my sketch on the front again. And I'm going to add in my rectangular drawing here, starting at my origin point. And when I'm looking at this, my width of it is going to be 2.5. The height of it is going to be 3. Right, so that's going to be my basic box there. Okay, now we're talking about how we take out that circular part. So we're going to add our circle tool. And again, I'm doing kind of the subtractive method, which seems to be pretty easy for this stuff. Go up to this front corner, and I'm just going to go over, and I'm going to go over right along this line, and I'm going to go 4 inches. I'm going to go 4 inches, so that's going to give me my 4 inches. I'm going to hit the enter key, so that's going to be where we're at with our drawing. So now if I take this, I'm going to finish my sketch. So I can finish my sketch. I'm going to do my extrusion, or I can right click and do press pull, pick up my part. I'm going to extend this out 5 inches. So it's going to get it from the end here, and I'm going to hit the enter key. Okay, so that's going to be our first section of our part. Okay, so if I look at this, so this is going to be the first section of my model of what I've got for my part here. Okay, so now what I can do is I'm going to add a new sketch. I'm going to go to the back of this. We're going to cut out that back part, which is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add in a rectangular sketch right at the top. And my dimensions for that rectangular sketch need to be, it's going to go half. So we're going to measure this here. 2 inches deep. So we're going to make this 2 inches deep. And then my width here is going to be, and I'm going to measure from the front of it. So I'm going to go 1/2 inch, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. So it's going to be 3 inches. So it's going to be 3 inches. So I'm going to hit the enter key. Now I want to make sure that I dimension this out. So from one end, I measure that top here. I've got 1/2 inch, 1 inch. So it has to be 1 inch from the edge. So I'm going to dimension this piece right here. And I am going to dimension from this point to this point, and that is going to be 1 inch, right? So that's going to move my dimensions across here, so it's perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the sketch. I can go back to my home so I can see it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this all the way through. So I'm changing up. You can do just the push-pull, but I'm going to do the extrude feature. Click on my face. I'm going to drag this through. Now you could drag it the entire dimensions, or I could just drag the piece that I want to get out. I want to take it for the full, just to make sure that I've got it. So I'm going to take that full 2.5 inches. I'm going to hit the enter key. So that's going to cut out my first part here. And so if I orbit around, I can see it's starting to take shape with what we've got here. Now, last piece that we need to do is I need to cut out my square at the bottom, or in the center piece. So I'm going to add another sketch, put it on this front plane here. I'm going to get it centered. I'm going to add my rectangular sketch. I'm just going to drop this kind of right in here. Now I know my sketch it's going to be 1 inch by 1 inch. So I'm going to make it 1 by 1. Okay, I'm going to hit the enter key. So there's my center sketch. Now I have to dimension it out. It's a 1/2 inch from the front. So I'm going to dimension this out from here to here is going to be a 1/2 inch. That's going to be 1/2 inch from there to there. And then from the bottom to the top is going to be 1/2 inch, 1 inch. So then from here to here is going to be 1 inch. So that's going to be where my square is. And then I can finish my sketch. I'm going to do my right click on this. I'm going to press pull, pick the part that I want to pull. I'm going to pull it down. I want to make sure that I get it all the way down through the floor. Oh, and there it is. And so I hit OK. And I'm going to, there's my part. So now I have got part number 2 has been completed. So we can rotate around it, and this would be part number 2 for us. So this would be what we've got for part 2. So when I get done with this, I'm going to hit this save button again. I'm going to save this again as completed. So I've got this version, so it's going to be completed. I'm going to make this a milestone and make sure I've got it finished. Now your milestones can be anything. It can be the first time that you get something working, or you're putting your assemblies together, or whatever it is. So I'm going to make this a milestone. We'll talk more about our milestones. So there's going to be part number 2.